Hello everyone, this is Dr. Carolyn Maria, working as an assistant professor in Loyola College of Education, Chennai. The title of the course is Educational Psychology, in which we are going to learn Unit 3, Motivation and Learning. This is part 1 video lecture, which is going to discuss about the meaning and definition of motivation, Maslow's theory of motivation and its educational implications, humanistic theory of Carl Rogers, and level of aspiration. Let's see what is motivation. Motivation came from a Latin origin, movere, it means to move. Motivation is the process of arousing, maintaining, and controlling the interest in a goal directed pattern of behavior. Motives are the tendencies for striving the goals, according to Tolman. Motives are the events which arouse an organism to action, according to Hebb. Motives create a sort of tension and disequilibrium, and it will make a person to become very nervous and anxiety to sustain the activity. That motivation leads a person to achieve the goal or finish the activity. So, leading to restoration of equilibrium by attainment of goal. Let's see the classification of motives. Generally, motives are classified into two categories as primary motives and secondary motives. Primary motives are in relation to our biogenic activities like hunger, thirst, sleep, and all these are primary motives. Secondary motives are sociogenic. They are psychological, social, and personal. Psychological with regard to love, security, freedom, adventure, etc. Social in relation to social approval and social affiliation. Personal is in relation to the competency level of each person, self concept, each person's rules and regulation, philosophy, and values. For every individual, we can divide the motives into two categories as extrinsic motive and intrinsic motive. Intrinsic motive is available in every person inherent itself. But extrinsic motive is outside of the person. Example, money, toy, luxury, sweet, things, objects, everything. Primary reinforcers are the survival needs of an organism. For an example, hunger, thirst, sleep, all these are the primary reinforcers. Secondary reinforcers operate in association with the primary reinforcer. Without satisfying your hunger or thirst, you cannot aim for the next level. Rewards help a person to stamp in the desirable responses. Positive reinforcement leads to the social recognition and develop high morale. For an example, if a child is getting first rank, if the child's name is written on the roll of honor, and if he or she is given some prizes, again and again the child will try for getting first rank. Rather, if a child is failing, or if you are going for learning a two-wheeler, and if you fall down, that will enable you not to go for the two-wheeler immediately within 2 or 3 days. So it will help to stamp out the stimulus response connection. And sometimes the punishment will correct our behavior based upon our fear and based upon our ill feeling. We may come across with some kind of punishment. Success in every activity increases the motivation and self-concept. Failure decreases the motivation. Same way, praise, telling them very good, good job, do well, excellent, keep it up. All these are the positive reinforcers which enhance the performance, and blame serves as a negative motive and it fails to produce any desirable behavior, desirable response in people. There are two theories which we are going to learn in this video lecture. One is Abraham Maslow's hierarchical need theory and another one is Carl Rogers' humanistic theory. He is Abraham Maslow. He was born on April 1st, 1908 in New York. His parents were uneducated and they were Jewish immigrants from Russia. So he became very lonely as a boy and most of the time he spent reading the books. And he died in the year 1970. According to him, human behavior is directed by 5 levels of needs in following a proper order. And satisfying each need motivates the person to move further to reach the self-actualization in a hierarchy. Higher level needs are activated only when the lower level needs are satisfied. Let's see what kind of needs and the levels he is talking about. According to Abraham Maslow, he has divided the needs of the people into five as physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, and self actualization needs. Physiological needs are in relation to air, water, food, sleep, etc. Safety needs in relation to the shelter and health, family, etc. Love and belonging with regard to the friendship, family, and esteem needs are in relation to the self-esteem, self-confidence, achievement, respect to other people, respected by other people, and self-actualization stages with high morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, and accepting the facts. You can take any example of a person. If a person would like to get an Oscar award or a university rank or anything, if a person wants to achieve, first of all, he has to satisfy his hunger, he has to satisfy his thirst, and he should have a place to live. Without having all this, you cannot just straight away reach the top. So, self actualization is the best personality a person can bring out. So that and the person who is having the self actualization stage would be having a calm composed mindset, and they'll have a very good decision making skill. They'll solve their problem properly, and there will not be any sort of emotional imbalances in them. And according to Maslow, he has divided the needs into two needs as growth needs and deficiency needs. See, food, water, air, shelter, and all. Whenever we finish, like if you're hungry, you can have your breakfast. After having the breakfast, you can say that, yeah, my tummy is full, I don't want any more. Then, afternoon, you'll seek for lunch. Afternoon, once again, you'll get hungry. So, it is a deficient in us. So all these are deficiency needs, and the self-actualization need is a growth need. It will help you to grow further and further in order to improve your self-confidence as well as your self-esteem, etc. So the physiological needs and the psychological needs and the benefits of organizing self-actualization, more time, more money is equal to get more out of life. And esteem is like a sort of pride. Everyone is appreciating. See, first a person should satisfy their physiological need of food, water, shelter, and all. Then, based upon that, a person may just go for a home to live. Then, after getting a house, you may seek some person to live with you. That is your love and belonging need. You may marry and you may have a family. And because you are married and you have a family, you have some kids, automatically we start working. We would earn money in order to establish our family. And whenever other people as well as your family members are accepting and recognizing your growth, automatically your self-esteem improves. And when your self-esteem improves, you will seek for further promotion to go for the self-actualization stage. The growth needs and the deficiency needs. Growth needs are, as I told you already, self-esteem and self-actualization needs. And the deficiency needs are the love and belonging need and the psychological and physiological needs. So the deficiency need grows stronger when denied. When you are hungry and when you are denied of food, automatically you behave in a sort of like a like an animal behavior. You could see in some advertisement also, like for a chocolate, a chimpanzee would be standing over there, a girl would be like full of hunger, and the girl would behave like a sort of animal. So whenever the basic needs are denied, whenever basic needs are not given to the people, it will keep growing stronger and stronger. But with regard to the growth need, Your love and self-esteem and all will go stronger when it is fulfilled. So here, when it is denied, it grows stronger. When it is fulfilled, it grows stronger. And deficiency need produces a sort of tension until it is fulfilled. Until you drink some water, until you eat something, your hunger and thirst will not go away from you, and it will give you a sort of temporary relief. But here, after getting a promotion or after getting an award, after being recognized by people, it will produce a sort of pleasant tension in them. And deficiency need is common for everybody, because everyone on earth, they are in need of food, water, shelter, everything. But with regard to the growth need, it is different for different people. For A.R. Rahman, Oscar award is the highest position, maybe. For Ilayaraja, becoming Isaignani is a famous, like, ultimate position. So like that, each person self-actualization stage is different. Deficiency need may require others' help to fulfill the need. If you are hungry, you need the help of another person to cook well for you to eat. And if you are able to cook for yourself, of course, you need the things. And those things are produced by somebody else. And here, with regard to the self-esteem and the self-actualization stage, it is satisfied autonomously. We can have the satisfaction reaching, getting a national award may be a self-actualization for one person, but getting Oscar award is a self-actualization for another person. Can be fulfilled completely, but again it will reoccur. If you eat tummy full also, again you will feel hungry after some time. But here it is continuous and never ending. If you are aiming for 1 lakh salary, then you will aim for 1 crore, then it will keep going, it will keep grow. The growth is never ending. Deficiency needs are selfish in nature. Growth needs belong to the higher places. According to Abraham Maslow, the self-actualized person will have all these characteristics. Self-actualization is a sort of realistic, and it sees life. Those people will see the life very clearly, and they have very good observation of other people. If you take all the sage or the saint people and all, the ones, those who are in higher position, they will be having the self-actualized personality. They judge the people correctly. They have a superior perception, and they will be very good in decision making. They have a clear notion on what is right, what is wrong, and they usually accurate predicting of future. Even they would say, like, in future it will be like this, like that. Okay. And they understand the art, music, politics, philosophy, everything well. And they possess very good humility. Humility is being humble. So even after reaching the highest position, they may be very humble enough. You could see A.R. Rahman, how humble he is, and listen to others carefully, and always they'll have an open-mindedness to learn from others, and they'll dedicate it to their work, task, duty, and occasion. They are highly creative, flexible, spontaneous, courageous, and willing to make even mistakes, and they learn from their own mistakes. And what are the educational implications of Maslow's theory? Deficiency needs of the students are to be satisfied by the teacher, and it could be economically, culturally disadvantaged children. They should be addressed properly by the teacher. The teacher has to plan in such a way, and the teacher is expected to provide secured classroom with good infrastructure for the students, and they should maintain realistic level of aspiration, and they should minimize the danger of the growth need, and need based curriculum should be framed to avoid the students unrest. If the students are not convinced with the curriculum, they'll become unrest and they'll go for a protest. The next theory what we are going to learn is humanistic theory given by Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers was one of the founders of the humanistic movement, which emerged in the year 1950s as a reaction to behavioral and psychodynamic theories. Rogers believed that human beings have an actualizing tendency. As same Abraham Maslow said, he also told that human beings are having the self-actualization tendency. They strive to make the best of their existence. If they fail to do so, it is not for the lack of the desire. And also, like Maslow, he too believed in the innate positive ambition in every person. And Roger focused on three concepts with regard to the personality. Number one is self concept, number two is congruency, and unconditional positive regard. We see one after the other. He supported the views of Maslow and added that an environment with genuineness and acceptance and empathy is needed for a person to grow. Like Abraham Maslow said, physiological need, psychological need, love and belonging need, self-esteem need. In order to satisfy each need, every person should strive for. And after the accomplishment of each need, it itself will motivate the person to go further. But here this Carl Rogers is saying that we need to provide proper environment and acceptance and empathy for a person to grow. So Rogers believed that a person reaches self-actualization level when they achieve their goals, wishes, desires at all stages of their life. So humanistic personality psychology emphasized the role of an individual in shaping their internal and external world. He was with the view of that humans are active and creative people who live in the present and are concerned only with the relationship, perceptions and situations of the present. They are not giving much importance for future. And he has proposed two kinds of self, that is ideal self and the real self. Ideal self is a person who would like to be, and the real self is what we are really. So our imaginary our aim would be, no, we wanted to be like this, so that is our ideal self. Everyone will have a sort of dream, we want to be like that, but actually what we are, that is our real self. So in our real world, a person's ideal self is not consistent with what happens in life with the person. An incongruence in the difference between the ideal self and the real self plays a major role in everyone's life. And congruence is when our thoughts about our real self and the ideal self are very similar. For an example, you say that, like, I want to become so and so person, and you really believe that and really work hard for it. And whenever you come across with any sort of shortcomings, when you accept your fault and strive to go further and further, then you can become a very good self-actualized person. So the self-concept is very strong and accurate. And high congruence leads to greater sense of self-worth and healthy productive life. When you trust in you, automatically you put all your investment of all your energy in striving for achieving your goal. With regard to Carl Rogers' impact of love, he said that every person is having a sort of conditional and unconditional love. You are only loved when you conform to others' wishes. That is conditional love. That is when you are earning so and so this much of money, only you will be loved by your spouse. But unconditional love is you are loved no matter what choices you make. Even see, for an example, the school students, if you become a doctor, if you clear your NEET, then only you are loved by your parent. That is called as conditional love. But unconditional love, even if you fail in your plus 2 examination, if you are loved by your parent, that is called as unconditional love. So this positive regard impacts a person's personality and happiness. That will motivate a person to develop the self-confidence because of the trust the parent are having for the children. Automatically the children will strive to get good marks. And the real self is what you are, and the ideal self is what you want to be. And there will be a sort of overlap when you have like this unconditional and positive regard. See, when you know about your real self and when you know about your ideal self, this ideal self and real self will overlap if you get unconditional positive regard. So when whatever you do, if you are loved and recognized by your parent, there will be an overlap between the real self and the ideal self, and the gap between the real self and ideal self will become narrow. That will make you to become a very good self-actualized person. Rather, in other words, if there is a huge gap between real self and ideal self, that person cannot be called as a self-actualized person. According to Carl Rogers, the impact of love. The closer our self image and ideal image are to each other, the more consistent and congruent we are, and the higher is our self worth. So, there should not be any gap between the ideal self and the real self. And basic human problem we come across with, most of the time we end up in some conflict. There will be a fight between the mind and the heart most of the time. So, satisfying one may mean giving up the other, and it will reflect on the personality of a person. We get false picture of who we are and our interest, motivation, goals, abilities, everything. Like, we would always compare ourselves with the highly achieved people or the celebrities, and we may have a lot of disappointments in us. So the real self is the organism, all our experiences, our feelings, our wishes, etc. And the self concept is the person, what we think and how we want to become what we are. Unconditional positive regard, as I told you already, Carl Rogers said that when you are whatever you do, if you are recognized, that is unconditional positive regard. Only getting into the very good IIT, or getting the admission in very good colleges only would be given positive response by your parent. It is not to be called as unconditional positive regard. Rather, if you even fail, or if you are not able to get in one field what your parents are forcing you to go with, if you are loved for that, whatever your self-worth, that is called as unconditional positive regard. So Rogers elevated the importance of unconditional positive regard or unconditional love when developing the self-concept. To fully actualize, people are raised in conditions of unconditional positive regard. So, the student, those who are unconditionally loved and recognized by their parent and the teachers and the society, they may come up as a very good personality. With regard to no conditions of birth are present. When people are raised in an environment of conditional positive regard, in which worth and love are only given under certain conditions, they may not match those conditions to receive the positive regard. So the ideal self is determined based on these conditions, and this contributions to incongruence and the gap between the real self and the ideal self. What are the characteristics of a fully functioning person, that is self-actualized person, according to Carl Rogers? According to Carl Rogers, the fully functioning person are the ones who are open to experiences, positive and negative emotions. Negative feelings are also they do have, and they'll work on the negative feelings. And existential living in touch with more experiences in life as they occur, living with the moment and appreciating the present. Trust feelings of gut reactions. People's own decisions are right ones and the wrong ones are allowed. And we should trust ourselves to make the right choices. And even if we go for wrong choices, also, we have to learn from that, and we have to understand our shortcomings. A person doesn't stay safe all the time, or like the fully functioning personality, they will always seek for any new experiences, and a risk taking is a part of their life. A person who is living a fulfilled life, that is happy, satisfied always, looking for new challenges as well as new experiences. Let's learn another concept called level of aspiration. Level of aspiration is the level of future performance in the familiar task which an individual, knowing his level of past performance in the task, explicitly undertakes to reach. Simple example I'll give you. If you want to get up by morning 6 o'clock, every day if you are getting up by 8 o'clock, you set your alarm for 7:45 tomorrow, 7:30 day after tomorrow, then go for 7, then go for 6:30, then go for 6 o'clock. All of a sudden from 8 o'clock, if you want to get up at 6 o'clock, that will be a very great challenge for you. So setting a goal just above the present goal, that is expected with regard to this level of aspiration. So the uses of level of aspiration are, it will increase your self-confidence, because if you are getting up daily by 8 o'clock, and if you set your alarm for 6 o'clock, and if you are not able to get up, it will lower your confidence level. Rather, if you set your alarm for 7:45 or 7:30 or 7, like that, Slowly you can climb the ladder and it will improve your self-confidence. It will say you can set your goal realistically, and it will stimulate you to strive for further success and avoid failure, and you can even monitor your progress. Key takeaways from this video lecture are: human behavior is directed by 5 levels of needs following an order according to Abraham Maslow. Satisfying each need motivates the person to move further to reach the self-actualization stage in a hierarchy. Higher the level needs are activated only when the lower level needs are satisfied. According to Carl Rogers, the closer is our self image and ideal self are to each other, the more consistent and congruent we are, and the higher sense of self actualization and self worth is possible. Points for reflection: as a teacher, how will you help your students to improve their self esteem? What are your plans to motivate your students to think for a better ideal self and reach the same? These are the books for your references. Thank you for listening. Wish you all good luck.